Okay, so I better put on my glasses so I can see where we are. Okay, hi everybody. So we will continue. Last time we started talking about the homage that Dignaga wrote, that Dharmakirti then explained about why the Buddha is a reliable source, reliable guide. Yeah. So I have to, for once, it's the one thing I know in Tibetan. I'll have to translate it as I go. Everything else but the Buddha is a reliable guide because he let me read it. I bow to the one who has become a reliable guide, starting out intent on benefiting migrating beings, followed by generating the wisdom that serves the way, then reaching the state of the one gone to bliss, or sugata, and finally emerging as the protector. Okay, and so just to review here, each of the reasons in Dignaga's praise illustrates why the Buddha is reliable, because he started out intent on benefiting migrating beings, so that wanting to benefit migrating beings, not just by, giving them oranges and bananas, but, in a really meaningful way, long term, so that led to him striving to gain the true path and the wisdom realizing selflessness. And that wisdom led to him to attain the state of the one gone to bliss, the sugata, who has the perfect abandonments and perfect realizations. And in that way, he became a reliable and trustworthy protector guide who teaches the four truths from his own experience. And so last week, we went through the forward order of, with the syllogisms of how each thing meant that he could attain the next one. Okay, so that's the forward order. This time we're going to go to the reverse order. So let's do the prayers first before I forget about them and keep going. Okay, so remember how to think, how to imagine. And when you visualize the Buddha surrounded by all the other Buddhas, remember this praise and this proof.
To the teacher endowed, transcendent destroyer, oneness found, foe destroyer, completely and fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, one gone to bliss, nor of the world supreme guide of beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, to you the Buddha endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I bow. With pure bodies formed supremely fine, wisdom like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best supreme guide, to you I bow. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I bow. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I bow. Great compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow. Through purity, freeing from attachment, through virtue, freeing from the lower realms, unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow. having freed themselves, showing the path to freedom too well established in the trainings. The holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind completely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning and clouds, see conditioned things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the state of all seeing, subdue the foe of false, and be delivered from the ocean of cyclic existence, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn, Mount Meru, foreland, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Venerable holy gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Idam Guru Ratnamandalakam Niryatayami. I take refuge until I am awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. So we can see by the praise that's offered to the Buddha as a reliable guide that it commences with his intent to benefit sentient beings. And this is in a lifetime before he became the Buddha. So that's the basis of the whole thing.
the big first step. And implicit in that is if we have a very strong intention to benefit sentient beings, we'll think on research of what's the best way to do that. And the conclusion is to become a Buddha who has the skill, compassion, and wisdom to make us more efficient, more effective, more wise and compassionate and skillful in benefiting sentient beings. So take a moment and generate that bodhicitta. Now there we just used the general intent to benefit sentient beings as the step to come that generates bodhicitta. But actually to have that intent, we have to do a lot of other things first to create the causes for that kind of intent. So we need, of course, love and compassion, equanimity, and so forth. And we also need to meditate on the sufferings of and the disadvantages of samsara. In other words, some people really like the bodhicitta meditations. They kind of make you feel warm and fuzzy when you can actually get to a nice conclusion. But that alone, isn't going to give rise to bodhicitta. We have to, and we feel warm and fuzzy, but we don't necessarily want to exert ourselves to benefit others. So that's, why it's very important to see that they are in samsara and they have the disadvantages of attachment, anger, and ignorance, and develop compassion for them based on that, and based on our knowing that, how much we want to be free of samsara, and then wishing that for everybody else. So that's important, I abbreviated it, but, when you're familiar with these things, to have that kind of feeling of wanting to benefit others, you need this and this and this, before it. Then the question comes up, in this series of reasons why the Buddha is a good, a reliable guide. Why does it start out with the intent to benefit others, and that leads to him becoming the teacher? In other words, having the ability to the realization of emptiness. Okay, why doesn't it just start out with gaining the realization of emptiness? And then, some people say, if you realize emptiness, then automatically you're going to have more compassion because you're not going to be clinging on to a self-centered I that's inherently existent. The difficulty with that, it seems to make sense when you first hear it, yeah. But the difficulty with that is if the Buddha first, gained the direct perception of emptiness before generating bodhicitta, he would be on the Sravaka path, and then he would progress to arhatship. And then, if he later, thought about benefiting sentient beings to the point of wanting, to exert oneself to do it, then he'd have to come back and start at the beginning of the Mahayana path, okay? So that's one thing. And there was another. Where did it go? It flew off. Oh, yes. So some people say, yeah, you realize emptiness, then that'll help you overcome your self-centeredness. Yeah, not exactly, okay? Because they're two different understandings. And when one has realized emptiness, if you don't have the bodhicitta, then you could really, you must feel so pure and so happy to be out of samsara that you just stay in that kind of state for a long time. Yeah. So just realizing emptiness and the lack of an inherent existent I doesn't mean that you automatically get rid of the self-centered thought. Okay. So, yeah. So we have to be careful with that one, yeah. So His Holiness was asked that question once, because you hear some people say that you just realize emptiness, then the compassion, everything up to bodhicitta comes very easily. And His Holiness said, no, there are two different kinds of understandings, and one meditation won't bring about both of those understandings, So you really need to also meditate on the disadvantages of the self-centered thought. Now, somebody might say, but that, somebody who's an arhat has already abandoned ignorance, anger, and attachment, so if they're not attached to anything, then, aren't they liberated? Yeah? Well, no, because, okay, eliminating ignorance, anger, and attachment makes you eliminated, but that does not automatically counteract the self-centeredness. Okay, because an arhat still has the self-centeredness, not the self-centeredness that is in conjunction with anger and jealousy and arrogance and these kinds of things and desire. That those have been abandoned, and so the self-centeredness connected with them doesn't have a reason to arise. But what arises is the self-centeredness of my liberation is foremost, and I'm working for my liberation, alone. Yeah, and most of those people see bodhicitta as more of a distraction. Yeah, because if you practice bodhicitta, then it's going to take longer to be liberated, and they want to be out of samsara as quickly as possible. Yeah, whereas this is one of the things that makes bodhisattvas quite courageous, is that they are willing to create this enormous collection of merit that is necessary to gain many of the Buddha's qualities. And to attain arhatship doesn't require that enormous collection of merit. It requires you to create merit, but not the same collection of merit. Okay? You look puzzled. You have a question? Yeah.
I was just thinking about the sharp faculty disciples.
Yes.
How is that different from what you just described?
Okay. The sharp faculty disciples haven't realized emptiness directly. They have an inferential understanding. And also, they've probably heard about bodhicitta before, so they have in their mind I want to gain the inferential understanding of emptiness first, because then I know for sure that enlightenment exists. And then with that, So I don't think they would start out completely blank with no understanding of the bodhisattva path before that.
With all due respect to His Holiness and everyone else, it seems strange to say that someone who no longer believes in the existence of an inherently existent self is self-centered. But
they're not self-centered in the way we sentient beings, ordinary beings, are self-centered. Yeah. They're not sitting there thinking about what's for lunch and, these kinds of things.
It just, to me, it makes more sense to say they haven't cultivated enough compassion for others. Because even the subtle, non-afflicted self-centeredness, how can you be self-centered if you don't believe that there's a self? So to me, it makes sense that they lack compassion.
There is a conventional self.
But an inherently,
you've negated the inherently existent one. The arhats know there's a conventional self, okay? And they value the awakening, the liberation of samsara, of that conventional self more than everybody else. The liberation of all the other conventional selves. Okay, so you've negated inherent existence, but you're not negating the existence of just a conventional self, one that exists by being merely designated. Huh?
They're attached to that self?
No. Their only thought is they don't have the attachment that's an affliction, but they cherish their own awakening first, and well, I'll tell you what, when I was in Thailand, some of the things people said, okay? So one, because I discussed it with a number of people, they were quite curious about bodhicitta, so knowing me, the underground, bodhisattva propagator, or bodhicitta propagator, I snuck in bodhicitta as much as I could. And one person said to me, that's impossible to become a Buddha, and it's unrealistic. How can you say you're going to liberate all sentient beings? That's totally unrealistic. So why are you striving to do something that's unrealistic? Somebody else said, it's a distraction from the path. It delays your own liberation, and we should all try and get out of samsara as quickly as possible and not be distracted by anything else. Very much this idea that it takes you away from the path that you should be meditating on, by reflecting on the disadvantages of self-centeredness. When we do it as ordinary beings, we're starting out the disadvantages of the self-centeredness that is attachment and jealousy and arrogance and anger. Okay, but we're not necessarily at this level. We say, I want to attain awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. We're not really at the level of when push comes to shove, thinking that our own happiness is not as important, or our own awakening is not as important as that of other living beings. Yeah, because basically, who do we think about all day and all night? And even, okay, I get rid of, the attachment to chocolate, whatever my version of chocolate is, chocolate, sex, who knows, prestige, money. Okay, you abandon your attachment to that, and I want to be free of this crazy world with this crazy election coming up, but that doesn't necessarily, that isn't necessarily thinking I want to free all other living beings and I have to become a Buddha to do it, because their liberation is, as important as mine, if not more important. Yeah. Yeah, and so people said, bodhisattvas have to remain in samsara for a long time. I don't want to do that, or that, that's a distraction. So, yeah, people had different reasons. So the Buddha taught different paths for people. Yeah. Okay, let's come back to this. Okay, so the reverse order. So the reasoning of one nature is used in the forward order by showing that he, the subject of the syllogism, has the nature of being suitable to advance to the next level. Okay, so that's talking about the Buddha having the nature of those who are suitable to progress to the next level. We're on page 58, middle. Okay, but the causal reasoning is used in the reverse order, in that he, the subject of each syllogism, is preceded by the cause. Okay, so the first one, using the reasoning of one nature, is, the Buddha is intent, or the being in the previous continuity of the Buddha, who was an ordinary being, is intent on benefiting sentient beings. Okay, so that intention is going to lead him to meditate and realize emptiness. Okay, and then that realization of emptiness, where he's called the teacher, is going to lead him to become the sugata with the three perfect abandonments, and so on. Okay, the reverse order, you start with, the Buddha is a reliable guide. You start with the conclusion, and then why? Well, he was the protector of sentient beings by teaching the Four Truths and everything else that's necessary on the path. So being the protector, was a cause of becoming a reliable one. What was the cause of being the protector? Becoming the sugata. Okay, what was the cause of becoming the sugata? Being the teacher, the one who realized emptiness. What was the cause of that? Being intent on benefiting sentient beings. Okay, so this praise, of we're bowing down to the Buddha for all of these qualities, it shows us, first, one way, it shows us what we have to do and the order we progress in. It also shows us that if we want to be a reliable guide for sentient beings, we have to, be the protector and the sugata and go backwards, achieving each of those states, because they're the cause of becoming the next one. Okay? So it's interesting, there's many ways to reflect on this. The forward, the reverse, it helps us understand who the Buddha is and what the qualities of a Buddha are. So we can meditate on it and use it to really deepen our refuge. Then when we say I take refuge in the Buddha, it's like, oh, who's the Buddha? Well, this is why he's a reliable guide and he has these qualities. So we can use it that way in terms of deepening our refuge. And we can also use it as a map, showing us how to progress on that path. Okay, so it gives us a peek of the map and all the things that one day we will attain. Not may, we will. Okay, it's going to take a lot of work, but we will. Okay. So here's the causal reasoning is used in the reverse order, so that he, the subject of each syllogism, is preceded by his cause. Okay, so here's the first one. Consider the Buddha, who's a reliable guide. That's the conclusion we're coming to. Yeah, he was preceded by the protector, the perfect welfare of others. That was his cause, because he is a being who is a consummate guide, who unerringly teaches what to adopt and what to abandon in the Four Truths to those seeking liberation and awakening. Okay, so the Buddha is a consummate guide who unerringly teaches what to adopt and what to abandon in the Four Truths to those seeking liberation and awakening. Okay, so the reason applies to the subject. Yeah. Then, a being who is a being who is a consummate guide, who unerringly teaches what to adopt and what to abandon in the Four Truths to those seeking liberation and awakening, is necessarily the protector or the perfect welfare of others, had that cause of being the protector, the perfect, who is the perfect welfare of others, for others. Yeah. Okay, you got it? Yeah. Okay. So as we learn and practice the Four Truths, we gain conviction in the Buddha as an unmistaken and reliable guide. Okay, so that's the conclusion. Although we ordinary beings are not yet able to know the 16 aspects of the Four Truths by direct experience, one must be an Arya to do that. We can validate the Buddha's explanation of them by employing reasoning. Because he is an authoritative, trustworthy guide on the path, who unerringly teaches the Four Truths with their 16 aspects, we know that the Buddha must have become that by having been a protector. Okay. Then the second one. Consider the Buddha. He was preceded by the perfect realization, which has the three distinctive features of a sugata. That was his cause, because he is a consummate being in possession of the protector, the perfect welfare of others. Okay, so what's the subject of the syllogism? The Buddha. The predicate? Yeah, and the reason. Okay, so does the reason apply to the subject? Yes. And what about the pervasion? What's the pervasion?
Is preceded by the perfect realization, which has three distinctive features of a sugata.
Yeah.
Necessarily is preceded by the perfect realizations, which have three distinctive
Okay,
features of
is that
sugata,
accurate?
which are the cause for that.
Yeah. Okay, so then the syllogism holds. So now we have gone back another step. Okay. So because he is the protector who teaches what to practice and what to abandon on the path. The Buddha is also the sugata who has impeccable realizations with 3 distinctive qualities. So the sugata was often described as the perfect one with perfect abandonments and perfect realizations. The perfect abandonments came in the forward order, remember? Now the perfect realizations are coming in the reverse order. So there's 3 of them: the excellent realization, irreversible or stable realizations, and complete realizations. Okay, so the excellent realization, unlike non-Buddhists, he has realized the ultimate nature of reality. So the non-Buddhists, are asserting a real self, they're asserting an Atman, every sentient being has a permanent Atman that gets reborn. And then also many of them assert a creator, a permanent creator, or a creator that has no cause, yet can produce effects. That, we know from studying Dura, collected topics, that anything that has a cause is impermanent, Okay. So the non-Buddhists cannot gain liberation, and apparently at the Buddhist time, and probably now too, what was happening is people generate the very high levels of concentration and confuse that with liberation. And so they stay in those meditative absorptions as long as the karma for them lasts. And when the karma finishes, then down to the desire realm again. Okay. So that's the excellent realization. Irreversible or stable realizations never decline. Here it says, unlike those of Sravaka Aryas on the paths of seeing or meditation. And I can't say I really understand that because according to the Prasangikas, those Sravaka Arhats have realized emptiness directly. So you wouldn't lose that realization. Yeah, maybe I think what it means is that those arhats can still are still born in samsara, and even I'm sorry, not the arhats. Those aryas are, who haven't become arhats yet, are still born in samsara. Mahayana aryas are, they're not born in samsara under the influence of afflictions and karma, but Sravaka Aryas don't have the same accumulation of merit. So I think that's probably what that means there. And then the third kind of realization is the complete realizations. So unlike Sravaka Arhats, the Buddha is omniscient and has realized all knowable objects and knows the methods to do so. So the Arhats, have a lot of supernormal powers, but they're not omniscient. Okay. Then the third one, consider the Arya Buddha in the first moment of omniscience. So that's what the sugata is here. An Arya Buddha in the first moment of omniscience, who belongs to the same continuum as the Buddha. That's the subject. He was preceded by the wisdom that directly realizes selflessness, called the teacher. That was his cause. That's the predicate. Reason, because he is a being who has discovered the sugata that has 3 distinctive features of realization. Okay, so the Arya Buddha, the first moment of omniscience, is Is he a being who has discovered the sugata that has the three distinctive features of realization? Yes. Okay. Then the predicate, not the predicate, the pervasion. What's that one?
Whoever is a being who has discovered the sugata that has the three distinctive features of realization is necessarily preceded by the wisdom that directly realizes selflessness.
Yeah. And that's true, right? You don't think so?
No, I do. I'm puzzled by the verb discovered.
Oh, it means realize. Yeah, because, the emptiness was hidden from his ordinary mind. So in that way, discovered. Okay, the Buddha became the sugata by accomplishing the two principal causes, the wisdom realizing selflessness and the great compassion that is intent on benefiting migrating beings. Wisdom, which is called the teacher, is identified because the sharpening of this wisdom is what enabled him to go from being an ordinary being to become a sugata. Yeah. Okay, then the fourth one. Consider the person in the same continuum as the Buddha who is on the uninterrupted path of the bodhisattva path of seeing. Okay, he hasn't attained the liberated path yet. He's on the uninterrupted path. Okay, he was preceded by the great love and great compassion that are his causes because he is a bodhisattva who has directly realized selflessness. Does the reason apply to the subject? Yeah, read that out. What is it?
A person who in the same continuum as the Buddha, who is on the uninterrupted path of the bodhisattva's path of seeing, is a bodhisattva who has directly realized selflessness.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the pervasion? What's that one?
A bodhisattva who has directly realized selflessness was necessarily preceded by the great love and great compassion that are his causes.
Yeah.
Or her causes.
Right. So the reason I'm going over these again and again and again is you studied syllogisms before, but it's very easy to forget. And it's very easy to, when the things are very long like this, to get tangled up about which is what. So that's why I'm coming on each one, asking to go through it. So the person in the same continuum as the Buddha, who has attained the wisdom that directly realized selflessness, did so propelled by the motivation of great compassion that was intent on alleviating the dukkha of each and every sentient being and working for their benefit. So, and here's His Holiness speaking. I find it inspiring to contemplate the Buddha's qualities and reflect on the joyous effort motivated by compassion that he put forth to become a reliable guide for us. It also gives me a vision of what we can do in our lives to become reliable guides for others in the future. Yeah. Okay, so it is showing us a map. Yeah.
I think something's clicking for me that hasn't before, and I want to check this.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I've always thought, oh, the reverse order is just saying the same thing as the forward order, just in the reverse order. But I think the point might be that the reverse order is showing that this is the only cause. As an example, I could say, well, if I plant a tomato seed and give it water and fertilizer and all of that, I get a tomato. But if I just have a tomato, I can't say, well, I definitely planted a seed and had blah, blah, blah. I may have just gone to the store and bought a tomato. So sometimes the forward order and the reverse order of something in general wouldn't be true, but here it's saying, no, this is the only way to get to that result.
Yeah, because how else is he going to do it? Yeah. I'm going to cherish myself above all other sentient beings, and that's going to motivate me to yeah. I won't even get out of samsara with that motivation. Yeah. Okay. So, Matraseta, I'm not so good at pronouncing. How do you pronounce that Sanskrit word? You don't know either? Okay. Okay, anyway, he was a first century Indian sage and poet who converted to Buddhism from Hinduism after being defeated in a debate by Aryadeva. He tried to pull off all these things to fool Aryadeva, and he wasn't able to. At that time, he wrote the Hymn to the Buddha, a stunning book praising the Buddha's qualities. Matraseta Sita pays homage to the Buddha by way of the causes he created to attain awakening and his incomparability. He can't compare to other sages and teachers. So his body, speech, compassion, teachings, benefits, and so on, all of which point to the Buddha being a reliable guide. So those qualities, so far uplift him beyond other teachers. So praising the causes of the Buddha's awakening, Matraseta said, these are really beautiful verses, having brushed aside doubts about whether or not it could be done, of your own free will, you took this helpless world under your protection. You were kind without being asked. You were loving without reason. You were a friend to the stranger and a kinsman to those without kin. Okay. So, of his own free will, he took the helpless world under his protection. So not because he felt guilty, not because he was a people pleaser, not because he wanted to be famous, okay, but completely, having brushed aside doubts about whether enlightenment can be attained, of his own free will, he said, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And in that way brought the world under his protection. You were kind without being asked. What about us? Are we kind without being asked? Are we kind when somebody asks us to be kind? Interesting thing to think about. When somebody's asking for some kindness, do we say, sorry, I'm busy, I don't feel like it, I don't have any spare money, whatever it is, I don't feel like listening to you complain. Yeah, somebody, sometimes when somebody's really upset, somebody's depressed, and do we care enough to reach out to them without being asked? And even if we are asked, do we care? Yeah. So, these kinds of things, we can see a difference, what makes a Buddha unique. Yeah, instead of just thinking, oh, the Buddha's some nice guy. Yeah. Or that, oh yeah, the Buddha's compassion, just like just like my grandma, kind of give me treats and, yeah, cuddle with me when I think I saw a ghost. And no, that's, yeah. So you were loving without reason. When we love somebody, there's lots of reasons, isn't there? You're nice to me, you praise me, you make me feel good, you're part of me, so I can be a little bit puffed up by your achievements. Whatever, you're a good listener, you're strong and protect me, you're, creative, you're artistic. We have lots of reasons when we fall in attachment. Okay, but the Buddha is loving without reasons, just because sentient beings exist. Whether we praise the Buddha or criticize him, whether we follow the teachings or diss the teachings, from the Buddha's side, his compassion and love towards us is the same. Yeah, doesn't need some kind of reason. Yeah. So, oh, you offered me an apple, a tomato, a tangerine, an Oreo, a kiwi, 2 Oreos, some, it looks like ginger snaps, a few other things, and yeah, an orange and some other thing that I don't know what that is. So therefore I love you. Therefore I'll take you, I'll protect you. Yeah. Yeah. Can you just imagine the Buddha kind of sitting every morning and say, okay, what are these guys going to give me today? Is it something I like or something I don't like? Yeah. And if he gives me something, these people, give me something I don't like, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'll just leave it on the altar. They like it. Okay. You were a friend to the stranger and a kinsman to those without kin. Yeah. So I think we've all had the experience of going into situations or countries where we don't know anybody, and it's nice when people are friendly. Yeah. Okay, so that was praising the causes of the Buddha's awakening. Now praising his incomparability, however you pronounce it. Okay, by not envying the superior, despising the inferior, or competing with equals, you attain preeminence in the world. You are devoted to virtues for their own sake, not for the rewards that come from them. Thus, due to your right progress, they have all come to completion within you. Okay, that first verse. By not envying those who are better than us, by not despising those who aren't as good as us and hoarding our arrogance over them. Okay, by competing with equals, that's what the Olympics is all about. So Buddha's not in the Olympics. Yeah, you attain preeminence in the world. So it's interesting, in a worldly thing, what do we do to attain preeminence? What do we do to gain status? Okay, we envy those people who are superior to us. Yeah, and we try in one way or another make their superiority not actual superiority, Or how else do we get status? We put down other people who aren't as good as us. Yeah. Here you have this comes in the bodhisattva root precepts, praising others and denigrating others in order to get respect and resources. Yeah, it's a root bodhisattva infraction, doing those. And then what do we do with people who are equal? Do we cooperate? Do we get along with them? Do we help them? No, we compete with them. Yeah, I'm going to be better. I'm going to prove that I'm better. Okay, so I can despise you and that you are not superior to me. And if you are superior to me, I'm going to say that it's no big achievement that you got anyway. Sound familiar? Anybody act like this? Where does it get us? We want status, and we want respect. Does acting like that give us status and respect? No. It makes people feel the opposite towards us. Yeah. You might say, oh, but the people who are better than me, then they get status and respect. Yeah, but if they look down on the people who are inferior to them, do you respect them? Yeah, do you feel safe around those people? No. Okay. So jealousy, I think jealousy is one of the most painful emotions, when I've had it sometimes, just excruciatingly painful. And Shantideva is so clear, that when you're jealous, even if you can, because jealousy doesn't like that person having whatever opportunity, good quality, virtue, new, deluxe car, whatever it is, jealousy doesn't want that person to have it. But even if that person should lose that, it doesn't mean we get it. So when we're jealous, we're basically wanting the unhappiness of others and rejoicing when others are unhappy. Aren't we? I mean, that's kind of what we want as the conclusion of our jealousy. You shouldn't have that good quality. Yeah, and I'm going to destroy it, and, that makes me great. Okay, so, do you really... And also, people who are better than us, sometimes if, it's very easy for them to act pompous. Do we respect people who are pompous? Do we really want to be like the person that we're jealous of? Yeah. Think about it sometimes. If you really think of the person you're so jealous of and then think, what would it be like to be them? Yeah. Would I be happy if I was them? And I don't know, check it out. I won't tell you what I come up with, but check it out yourself. Is this person that you're jealous of somebody who is perpetually happy, who has no issues with anything, who's very peaceful, who is free from aging, sickness, and death? No. Then why do you want to be them? Yeah? Okay. By not envying the superior, despising the inferior. Oh, I'm better than you. Yeah, we look down on other people, and we can invent so many good reasons why we're better and why they are deserving of our scorn. Yeah, give me some of your good reasons when you're arrogant and you look down on others. What are your reasons?
They should know better.
Yeah, they should know better. I know better. I am wise. You should know better. Stupid one. Yeah. Okay, what are some of your other reasons?
I work hard, so I deserve it.
Yeah, I work hard and I deserve it. And you're lazy. You just leech off of everybody else. You don't work hard. Yeah. But you're not looking at the circumstances that person was born into. Yeah. Okay. And competing with the equals, what's going on in your mind then?
I can imagine my hands on my hips saying, really?
What?
My hands on my hips and they would say something. And, I'll say, really?
Oh,
Really what we think?
yeah.
Is that really the way it is?
Mhm.
No question.
Yeah, no question. Uh-huh.
I don't really want them to be equals. I don't really want to have equals. I want to be better.
Yes. I want to be better. And I am better. Yeah. And I'm right. And I'm going to show you that I'm better.
If they get it, there's nothing left for me.
Oh, yeah, we compete with them because if they win, then there's nothing left for me. Then I'm totally a loser. That one thing I didn't get it, then, everything else in my life is a disaster. Right? Yeah, I'm hopeless. Okay. You were devoted to virtues for their own sake, not for the rewards that come from them. Thus, due to your right progress, they have all come to completion within you. So you were devoted to virtues for their own sake, not so that everybody can say, wow, you're a Buddha, can I have your signature? That's not why you practice the path. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, signatures. Well, yeah. Can I take a picture with you? Can I take a selfie with you? Yeah. So I'm devoted to virtues so that the Buddha will, so that I can take a picture with the Buddha. Or so that the Buddha can take pictures with me. Or other people can take pictures with me. Because they're all going to want me in their pictures. Okay. Yeah. Or you pretend to be virtuous. It's a whole big show, so that you get honor. People give you offerings. Yeah. You get invited to, speak to U.S. Congress. Oh, no, you get invited to be one of the main speakers at the Republican National Convention. Isn't that? Yeah. And maybe they'll even, nominate you as vice president. I'll tell you something that's funny. Well, no, I won't. Go on.
Venerable, I have a question on not envying the superior. When a Buddha, like for example, if I become a Buddha, okay, but I still praise other Buddhas.
Oh, yes.
But then what is the difference between praise and envy?
Oh, there's a big difference. Okay, praise is you're rejoicing in somebody's good qualities and your mind is happy. Envy is they have a good quality that you don't have and you want them not to have it. Okay.
So if you want to do virtuous actions and you're strategizing with all sorts of not great motivations, mostly non-virtuous, around greed and pride and stuff, doesn't it cease to be a virtuous activity? I mean, you're just like kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, it is. I think here it's,
I mean, the way that...
doing virtue with a bad meditation, you're not really doing virtue. But what it means when I say doing virtue, it means it looks like a virtuous action. Yeah. In other words, you've succeeded at pulling the wool over someone's eyes and convincing them that you're really, somebody special who can, yeah.
But in the truth of things and karma, you have done nothing to enhance and improve your chances of virtue in the future.
No. Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody who is giving a donation, yeah, like the example I give, I'm going to give a donation to this clinic so that they will put a plaque in the front saying that I'm a big donor, or somebody's going to donate to Chenrezig Hall, to the Buddha Hall, and they want us to name the Tara room after them, not after Tara. Yeah, or, people like rooms named after them. We'll give you the bathroom. Yeah. Okay, so. Okay. So, that person did give an offering, and that was, there was some merit involved in that, because at least they weren't holding it just for themselves, but they were doing what this one line I memorized in college English course. The last temptation is the greatest treason, to do the right thing for the wrong reason. T.S. Eliot. That really caught my eye, to do the right thing for the wrong reason. Yeah. As being a complete hypocrite and phony. But that's how we're often taught to be, aren't we? Show our good side, hide everything else. Mm-hmm.
Still waiting for that podcast to be published, but when you talk to the lady in Singapore about compassion and leadership, and I think at the end she asked you, so can we still be compassionate and make a lot of profit? Right? And you were like, you have to let go of that profit piece, just focus on the welfare of the people who work for you. And it was like she couldn't get it. Like the profit was still always has to be there.
Yeah.
And that will always get in the way of genuine compassion.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that you cannot make a profit if you're compassionate. Compassion shouldn't mean that you are impoverished, but that shouldn't be your goal. Okay. Thus, due to your right progress, they all have come to completion within you. So because the Buddha practiced properly, he got all of those good qualities without doing so with a corrupt motivation. So these verses and others like them are helpful to read when contemplating the recollection of the Buddha. And we'll get to that in a future section, how to do the recollection of the three jewels. The Buddha encouraged us not to rely on him or his teachings simply because others honor him and follow his doctrine. Now, how often are we influenced, if we see a teacher who has a whole bunch of groupies following them around? Yeah. How does that influence us? Or I was once at a teaching with His Holiness, and sitting with the Sangha, and I was talking with one Sangha member in the break time, and they said, oh, our teacher has realized emptiness. He's definitely on the path of seeing. And, whenever he speaks about emptiness, tears come to his eyes. He must be, he's a bodhisattva. Yeah. So when you hear people speak like that, do you think, oh, I want to go check that teacher out? Or I want to read their teachings? Or, how does that influence us? Yeah. As it turned out, I knew who she was speaking of, and that wasn't somebody I respected. I think somebody who had a scandal around them. Yeah. Yeah. So the Buddha encouraged us not to rely on him or his teachings simply because others honor him and follow his doctrine. So just because, he said, just because other people write all these books praising me, don't believe what I say and don't follow it just out of blind belief. Check it out. See if it makes sense to you. Try it and see if it works. He didn't say, oh, you have faith in me, you're great, sign the book here. Yeah. And here's for your donations, but I need a really bigger one. This one's too small, Oh, but we're getting new gongs. Yeah, we're getting 2 gongs, a medium-sized one and then a big one. Yeah, oh boy, look at that. Yeah. Okay, so to the contrary, the Buddha encouraged people to practice the teachings and attain the same realizations and awakening that he has. Okay, so he's not telling everybody to practice and achieve his status so that then he can compete with them and show that, oh, I was Buddha before you were, there's none of that, for the Buddha, whenever he sees any sentient being created, even the teeniest bit of virtue, his mind is very happy and rejoices. Yeah. Okay. So when beings do attain the same realization and awakening the Buddha has, okay, this is what he said. It is at this point that an Arya disciple comes to the conclusion, when the Arya disciple has attained liberation, then they come to the conclusion, the Blessed One is fully awakened. The Dharma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha is practicing the good way. So that person who can say that knows, from their own experience, the Buddha is the Blessed One. Because the Buddha was fully awakened because the Buddha was able to describe the path to him that he practiced and attained awakened. So he knows that for sure with the Buddha. The Dharma is well proclaimed. He knows that again because he practiced it and attained the results. And the Sangha is practicing the good way because he's seen the results of their practice, which are the same as his. Okay, so now the recollection of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So this is actually a meditation practice. Yeah. So a practice common to the Pali and Sanskrit traditions is the 6 recollections: the recollection of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, generosity, virtue, and the deities. And by deities, it's talking about the gods, God realm. Okay. So the term recollection is a prefixed form of the word for mindfulness. So recollection is anusmriti, and mindfulness is smriti, or sati in Pali. Okay, so the term recollection, is a prefixed form of the word mindfulness. The Buddha instructed us to approach the recollections of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha with faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Okay, so if this list of 5 qualities sounds familiar, okay, they comprise the 5 faculties and the 5 powers, which together are 10 of the 37 harmonies with awakening. In the Sanskrit tradition, this recollection is found in the sutra Recollecting the Arya 3 Jewels. Okay, so here we will explain the shorter, commonly recited homage to the 3 jewels from the Mahanama Sutta in the Pali Canon. So to do something shorter. Yeah. Okay, the meaning of these verses is common to all Buddhist traditions. The explanation below generally follows Buddhaghosa's path of purification, with elements added from the Sanskrit tradition. Okay, so the Pali homage that recollects the Buddha's qualities. The Bhagawan is an arhat, completely and perfectly awakened, accomplished in higher knowledge and conduct, one gone to bliss, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the Buddha, the Bhagawan. Sound familiar? Yeah, you really see the closeness of the Pali and the Sanskrit here. To the teacher, Bhagawan. Yeah, Lama Zopa, well, we'll get into Bhagawan in a few paragraphs. The teacher, Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, completely and perfectly awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, one gone to bliss, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans. To you, the Buddha, Bhagawan, glorious victor, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. So very similar. Okay, so understanding each epithet of the Buddha reveals rich meanings. So, we chant this praise to the Buddha all the time. Yeah, do we really know the meaning of the different words? And do we think about the meaning when we're chanting it? Yeah, there's a lot of meaning. Okay, so the Buddha is the teacher. To the teacher, Bhagawan. Yeah, we usually say to the teacher, endowed, transcendent destroyer. Okay, so teacher. The Buddha taught the Dharma of the 3 vehicles according to the interests and dispositions of various disciples in order to gradually lead all sentient beings to full awakening. Okay, so this thing about the Buddha teaching according to the interests and dispositions of different sentient beings, this comes up a lot, and that's because it's something to really remember, that it's, the Buddha taught different things for different people according to what they need. And so our teachers will also give us very often instructions that is different from what they're giving our peers. Sometimes, the same instruction as them, sometimes different. Yeah. Okay. Then the Bhagawan. So what Lama Zopa translated as endowed, transcendent destroyer, which doesn't mean much in English, does it? Endowed with what? Transcendent? What? Destroyed? What? Well, hold on to your seats, it's coming. Okay. So all ancient Indian traditions referred to their most exalted person as Bhagawan, Blessed One, or in Chinese, it's translated as world-honored one. Yeah. It signifies respect and veneration given to one who is distinguished by special qualities as the highest of all beings. Bhaga, in Bhagawan, indicates fortune, share, or possession. He is the one honored as the highest of all beings in the world due to possessing marvelous qualities. So that's the Bhaga part. Bhaga also means destroyed. That's how the Sanskrit interprets it. He has destroyed all defilements and the three poisons of attachment, animosity, and ignorance. In the Tibetan translation of Bhagawan, Chomdende, yeah, Chom means to destroy. He has destroyed the four maras. What are the four maras? Polluted aggregates, the afflictions, death, and the son of the god, some kind of mischievous god. Okay. Chom Den De, that's Chom Den, means endowed. He is endowed with the four bodies of a Buddha. Okay, so the nature truth body, the wisdom truth body, the two form bodies, the resource body, or the emanation body is the Nirmanakaya, the Sambhogakaya. Resource body or enjoyment body, yeah. Okay, Jinpa started translating it as resource body because the Sambhogakaya is a resource, a great resource for the bodhisattvas. Okay, and the five pristine awareness, he's endowed with the four bodies of the Buddha and the five pristine wisdoms. This refers to the five wisdoms correlated with the five dhyani Buddhas. And then De means beyond. He has transcended both samsara and an arhat's personal nirvana. So that's the meaning of endowed, transcendent destroyer, or Bhagawan. Tathagata, the one thus gone, or sometimes translated as the one thus come. So it sounds like he doesn't know which way he's going, but he does. Okay. So Tathagata also predates the Buddha and indicates, was used by other wanderers, other teachers and sects at that time. And it indicates a perfectly accomplished and realized person. The Buddha refers to himself as the fully awakened one, a Tathagata. So sometimes when he is talking about the qualities of a Buddha, he'll refer to himself as the Tathagata. Okay. The Buddhaghosa explains Tathagata in 8 ways, and Dharmapala, who's another Pali commentator, he's the one who wrote the text on the paramitas, the paramis of the Pali tradition. Okay, so Buddhaghosa explained the Tathagata in 8 ways, and Dharmapala added even more explication. As mentioned above, the Buddha has gone thus to nirvana in the same way that all liberated ones of the past have gone. How's he done this? By practicing the 37 harmonies with awakening. He has come thus to Buddhahood. That's the thus come one, or the one thus come. Okay. He has come thus to Buddhahood, just as all the Buddhas of the past have come, by fulfilling the 10 perfections. By working for the benefit of the world, all Tathagatas thus have come to Buddhahood. They convey the teaching of the deathless to which they have gone by their own practice. So the deathless is often, it means nirvana, okay? Because once you have attained an arhat's nirvana, you're no longer subject to death, yeah, so that you're deathless. Why have you abandoned death? Because you've abandoned birth under the force of afflictions and karma. So the Mahayana also explains the Tathagata as one who has gone to the direct perception of all phenomena as well as their thusness. So sometimes you hear thusness, suchness, yeah. In our tradition, it refers to emptiness, okay? In the Chinese Buddhism, it doesn't, suchness doesn't refer to emptiness. Okay, so the Buddha knows everything thus, as it is. That's the meaning of thus, to be as it is. And everything is just as he had said it to be. Chinese scriptures add that the Buddha came from thusness or emptiness. That doesn't mean that emptiness or thusness was the cause of the Buddha, but that within the sphere of emptiness, the Buddha was able to arise. Because every phenomena exists within emptiness, because every phenomena is empty of inherent existence. Arhat was another term used in various ancient Indian traditions that the Buddha adopted too. As with Bhagavan and Tathagata, the Buddha adopted this word and gave it a specific meaning according to his doctrine. So Arhat has several meanings. One is foe destroyer, yeah, because of having destroyed all afflictions and pollutants. Another meaning, accomplished one, because of being liberated from samsara. And also worthy one, because of being worthy of offerings and respect, because he has destroyed all defilements and is free from samsara. So Arhat is not a term restricted to the Buddha, but applies to all those who have destroyed the afflictions and are liberated from samsara. Okay, then, so those are the meaning of those terms. Now the term completely and perfectly awakened one. So the Buddha has awakened from the sleep of ignorance and awakens others as well. He comprehends completely and perfectly all phenomena, especially the inner workings of the mind and the paths to liberation and awakening and their resultant states. Wow. Can you imagine knowing all of that? Yeah, we're kind of like muddling around, trying to find our way in samsara, but he knows all the paths to awakening and the inner workings of the mind. And there's so much about ourselves we don't understand, isn't there? Yeah, so much that we're totally unaware of how our mind actually works, and why certain feelings come when they do, why certain emotions come when they do, why we look at things from this perspective and not that perspective, why we project stuff on others. Oh, I don't project anything. Yeah, who project anything? Yeah, you project a lot on me. I don't project anything. I see reality. Right. Okay. But it's amazing, how little we know about ourselves. And our culture in general doesn't, because we're all outer directed, What can I get? Money, material possessions. I want people to love me. I want people to like me. I want status. I want to be known. I want to appreciate. All that means that other people have to be around to give that to us. Yeah. If they aren't around, we don't get love, we don't get appreciation, we don't get praise, we don't get honor. Yeah. But if we want that stuff, then we have to put up with sentient beings. They should really just respect me for who I am because I'm very good. And leave me alone. Don't ask me to do anything. Don't ask me to prove how wise and kind I am. Just know that I'm wise and kind. Right? We're so funny, aren't we? How we think. Okay. So the Buddha has awakened from the sleep of ignorance and awakens others as well. He comprehends completely and perfectly all phenomena, especially the inner workings of the mind and the path to liberation and awakening and their resultant states. As one who has completed the path, he possesses the 10 powers of a Buddha, which we've discussed, the 4 fearlessnesses or 4 self-confidences, which we've also discussed, and many other magnificent powers. His ability to explain the Dharma in a way that is easily understood by whatever audience he speaks to is indicative of his great knowledge and skill. And this is what you see when His Holiness teaches. He will give one talk. His audience, there's thousands of people. Some people are brand new. Some people are, I'm sure, bodhisattvas. And then there's everything in between, lay people, monastics, people on this and that and the everything. And he will give a teaching and everybody will get something out of it. And he may start with something quite easy to understand, like talking about kindness. We say, oh, that's easy to understand, kindness. It's difficult to be. But, His Holiness will talk about kindness and will say, yes, that's a good value. I can understand something about kindness. Yes, I want to be kinder, and I especially want other people to be kinder to me. And, kindness is a really good thing. I get what the Dalai Lama is saying. And then he'll go straight into some profound thing about, how Tsongkhapa is, going with Chandakirti and refuting Bhavaviveka, and, and it's only it's only the Geshis who understand that part. Yeah. And then he'll like come up again and crack a joke, and everybody relaxes. And then, he'll go into something that people can understand more easily, and then go back into something more erudite, So everybody gets something, right away. And even if you don't understand it, it's putting imprints in the mind. Yeah. But it's interesting to watch him teach, listen to him in, out. And he'll tie all sorts of things together that when he ties these different points together, you go, oh yeah, that's obvious. And then you realize you never even looked at it that way before. It wasn't so obvious. But when he links it, it's like, well, how could I have missed that? It really makes sense. Okay. So whereas the early Pali commentaries were more modest when speaking of the Buddha's knowledge, the the 2nd century BCE commentary, the Patisambhidamaga, okay, it's a Pali text, elaborated on 72 types of knowledge related to the Buddha's awakening, including omniscient and unobstructed knowledge of all phenomena, past, present, and future. So in general, the Pali tradition considers the Buddha to be all-knowing, whereas the Sanskrit tradition considers him omniscient. Okay, so there's a difference in these two terms. In a Pali sutra, the wanderer Vachagota directly asks the Buddha if he is omniscient, such that whether he is walking, standing, sleeping, or awake, knowledge and vision are continuously, uninterruptedly present to him. Okay, so asked if the Buddha, if he knows everything all the time, no matter what he's doing. The Buddha denied this and replied that he has the 3 higher knowledges, recollection of previous lives, knowledge of the death and rebirth of all sentient beings, and knowledge of the destruction of all pollutants, together with full understanding of the 4 truths. So these are the realizations that he gained on the sitting under the Bodhi tree. I think we'll stop here. There's more about the discussion of omniscience versus all-knowing. We'll save that till next week. Yeah.
Well, Chodron, I wonder if you have some advice about how to go deeper with these syllogisms. I was looking at them during meditation this week, and it gladdens my mind. But maybe the next step is to actually memorize these and really, but how to go deeper?
I think just contemplating them, like, okay, the first one, the person in the previous continuum of the Buddha, somebody who doesn't have any realizations yet, but their intent, it's implying that they have generated bodhicitta because they're intent on benefiting others. And you just think, what would your life be like if you were intent on benefiting others? And how would you feel inside? What would your self-image be if you were confident that you had that genuine wish to benefit others? And if you had that, like, what would that motivate you to do? And then you can imagine how somebody who's more advanced than we are, could be motivated to, learn about emptiness and realize emptiness, and then so on, become the sugata and so on. So it just, I think it's interesting to imagine having these qualities. And then when we do, just imagining having them makes those traits grow in us. This is very much the idea behind Tantra. When you imagine being a deity, you imagine having all those qualities, and that, just the imagining of them is stretching our mind. And then you think, what could I do if I had that kind of quality? And that leads you to aspire for it and to exert some effort to gain it, to cultivate it.
Venerable, is there any scriptural reference that our heart turn into a bodhisattva and become Buddha?
Yeah, I think there must be. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, because there's a whole path laid out for people who become arhats and then re-enter the Mahayana path and become Buddhas. I can't tell you the name of a specific scripture, sutra, but definitely in the commentaries it talks about it. Yeah.
Seems a little funny to me that when you were in Thailand, the one monk didn't think that somebody could become a Buddha. It doesn't logically hold very well.
Well, because in the Pali scriptures, or the way the Mahayana interpret the Pali is, well, no, actually, basically, the way what the Pali says themselves is that in every Shakyamuni Buddha is a wheel-turning Buddha who starts the dispensation, the doctrine, in a time when it was a dark period, okay? And so you only need one of those in a dark period. And in our particular eon, they say there's 1,000. Yeah, don't ask me why there's not 999 or 1,001. I have no idea. Okay, so there's 1,000 in our eon, and I mean this is the prognosis, or no, the prophecy, and Shakyamuni's the fourth, and so he leads, yeah. Yeah, everybody else becomes an arhat, but they don't become a Buddha, according to the Pali scriptures.
Or would they have a bodhisattva path in the Pali scriptures?
This is a secret that not many people are aware of.
Yeah.
They have, well, first of all, no, they don't have a laid out bodhisattva path as detailed as the one in the Mahayana. But the Buddha had to follow the bodhisattva path to become a Buddha, okay? And so there's one scripture that gives the history of the previous Buddhas and shows how they practice, and so there must have been a bodhisattva path for them if they became Buddhas, yeah. But it's just everybody else doesn't really have that nature to do that, and they don't really need to. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's dedicate.
May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of wholesome's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Idam Gururana Mandalakam Niryatayami.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, you're the source of good and happiness. powerful tensing Gyatso Chenresi, may you stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the West. Glory.